CEO and founder of Clari-T Media. Thank you so much for joining me. And yes, I am in Negril, Jamaica. And yes, I am retiring here. Yes. Whether some people like it or not, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. So now I know some of you are over here to find out exactly what's going on with me retiring here in Jamaica. Well, number one, I don't have to explain my personal business, but I will explain my personal business regarding this retirement here in Jamaica because it is fascinating. It is an extraordinary thing that I've done for myself. And I know that other people wish they could do something like this. And I know that some people just don't have what it takes to even use the brain that God gave them, to figure out how to live a better life, right? I know that some people can't imagine that somebody like me could retire in a beautiful place like this. I know that many cannot imagine how I could have done something so extraordinary like retire in Jamaica after being born and raised in the housing projects of San Francisco, coming from a family from Jackson, Mississippi, whose grandfather was once a sharecropper, who moved to San Francisco with his family, brought his whole family, his sisters, their children, himself, his wife, his daughter. They traveled from Jackson, Mississippi, the Jim Crow South, the lynching South, after serving time in the United States Navy. He brought his family over to the city by the bay, only because his oldest sister was there with her husband, Uncle Nicholas Alexander, who was working on building the San Francisco Bay Bridge. Meanwhile, my grandfather, Harrison Williams, on my father's side, was there with his wife, Rosemary Williams, and they had my father, Levon Williams, and my grandfather was also working on the Bay Bridge. He was a concrete mason who laid concrete in the Transbay Tube that travels underwater between San Francisco and Oakland. Yeah, that's my family history. That's the deep-rooted, hard-working background that I come from. And those are the people, the legacies that I will never, ever let down or disrespect by doing something as crazy as stealing money from the public in order to fund my retirement. Yeah, that's not even possible. Let me start at the beginning, okay? I was born and raised in San Francisco, 1965, okay? I was born in Mount Zion Hospital where my grandparents worked in the kitchen, okay? And from there, my grandparents started their own catering business, catering kosher events at the Jewish Brotherhood Temple on Brotherhood Way, hosting bat mitzvahs, okay? For years, for 20 plus years, they had this catering business, right? They met all of the Jewish folks and family in San Francisco that they could meet and started building a community of wonderful people who knew that my grandparents were hardworking people and they deserved some support with their business and with their family. And that's what those Jewish folks did for my family at the Jewish Brotherhood Temple. We became a family. We became a family, and my family prospered because of the support that they had from the Jewish community that they met as caterers, kosher caterers, the only African-American kosher caterers in San Francisco. Go figure, okay? We were making history a long time ago, okay? So I am proud of that. Let me say the neighborhoods that I grew up in. I grew up in Potrero Hill when O.J. Simpson lived up there. My mom went to high school at Galileo High School with O.J. Simpson. Go figure. I was a baby. We lived in Lakeview in the Ingleside. We lived in Western Addition, Western Addition or Fillmore, some people call it. We lived in the Lower Cortland, off of Silver and San Bruno Avenue, all of my life, right there where Dan White lived in that same mostly Italian neighborhood back then. Um, I also lived in the Outer Mission. Uh, we lived off of Haight. I mean, I lived all over the city. Had all kinds of friends in the city, had all kinds of jobs in the city. And my first job at 12 years old was with the San Francisco Chronicle. I was delivering the newspaper as a little girl. My grandfather had that newspaper route, right? But he would make each one of us kids in the family take over the paper route as we got old enough to work, you know. So at 12 years old, I was wrapping up the newspapers, you know, folding the newspapers and wrapping the rubber bands around them and stacking them up, hundreds and hundreds of San Francisco Chronicle newspapers. I think that was the beginning of my journalism career. Yes, 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 yes. And so I've been working ever since. I've been working all of my life. Now, I'm giving you all of this background about myself because I want you to understand exactly who I am. I want you to understand who I am. And I want you to know for a fact who I am. I would never lie about anything. I will always be honest like I've always been, like I was raised to be. I would never, ever, ever falsify any information because that is the oath that I have taken as a journalist, a real journalist who checks her facts, who substantiates information, who asks others, who attributes sources in my information like journalists should, okay? So let me make sure. I've gone over family, schools. I went to Bret Harte Elementary, E.R. Taylor, Cleveland Elementary, Everett Middle School, Marina Middle School, George Washington High School, Westmore High School in Daly City. I earned my GED after dropping out of high school to help my mom raise my little brothers. I was a hardworking kid. My mom was a single parent of three of us. I was the oldest. I had to help raise my little brothers. That's what I did. So I dropped out of high school to do it because that's how committed I was to raising my brothers. I couldn't focus on high school. I sacrificed my own young life to raise my brothers. That's who I am, okay? Just like I sacrificed myself and my career in broadcasting to have a family and to be a wife for 23 years, okay? Following the footsteps of my grandparents from Jackson, Mississippi. Great people, married for over 75 years. That's all I know is honesty, good living, respect for others, being committed to something, you know, finishing what I start, keeping my word. I am a woman of integrity. I was raised by extraordinary people who I am extremely proud of, who laid the foundation for my life and my work in San Francisco. None of it would have been possible without my grandparents laying the foundation. And so it is my responsibility to maintain that level of excellence for my family. That's what I'm about. So there is nothing that I would ever do to tarnish the name or the reputation or all of the work history of the McGee family or the Williams family and all of the families connected to my families. I am a woman of integrity, and I have made history in San Francisco myself, doing extraordinary things just like my grandparents and other African Americans in San Francisco. We are an extraordinary group. Compare our lives over the history in San Francisco to the lives of other Black folks across the country. Black people in San Francisco have lived some extraordinary lives. Let me just say that, Okay? And that's just my opinion. You may not agree, but I can tell you where to go and get some information, a history about Black people in San Francisco. Go to www.sfreparations.org. sfreparations.org. That's where you'll find a report that was recently published with over 300 pages of the history of Black people in San Francisco. It includes every area of our lives as Black people in San Francisco and what we experienced from the time we arrived up until today. And yes, reparations are due. Okay, that's another subject that I've talked about on my media platform, Clari-T Media. Now, I spell Clari-T Media, CLARI dash capital T, because my business partner, Stephen Crane, I love you, Stephen. Uh, I met him in school at San Francisco State University in the Becca department, the Broadcast Electronic Communication Arts department. Stephen and I met, and we started a not a nonprofit, but we started a small little multimedia organization between the two of us. I mean, it really wasn't even a business at that point, but it became the nonprofit organization, Clari-T Media. But when we were creating it, I was like, I like the name Clari-T because, I want to get clarity about news and information and all of that. And so somehow or another, I need to do a play on the word clarity. And so, he came up with the Clari and then the dash and the capital T. He said it looks more technical. I agreed with him, went with it. Found out that it's too hard to create a domain with it and all. Learning how to create a business, that's how it goes. You learn by making mistakes and you learn, and anyway, you get better, okay? You get better. So if you want to go into business, just keep going. Don't give up no matter what the naysayers say. And I'm here to talk a little bit about that, naysayers. But I'm getting to the naysayers. So Clari-T is spelled C-L-A-R-I, and Clari in Latin defines a bright, famous girl. Stephen didn't know that when we chose to break the word clarity up and not include the Y. He didn't know that, but you see, God works in mysterious ways. I looked up the word Clari, C-L-A-R-I, and it defines a bright, famous girl. Go figure. That's me. I became a bright, famous girl. And no, I'm not a narcissist. No, I'm not conceited. I'm just saying that I became famous in broadcast, in Bay Area broadcast. Not famous, but some people know me, okay? In Bay Area broadcast based on what I've done. And I've done some extraordinary things because I worked hard to do it, and I knocked on the right doors, and I dealt with the right people. And I'm a good person, so I've done some extraordinary things with the help of a lot of others. I'm talking fast like this because I have a lot to cover. So Clari, C-L-A-R-I dash capital T. The capital T defines my technical side. I'm a tech geek. I love working behind the scenes. I never wanted to be on camera. I never wanted to be on the microphone, but everybody told me I should. You should be on camera. You're so pretty. And oh, you have such a great personality. Oh, and I love your voice. Oh, your voice is so this and that. And I didn't want to be on camera. I didn't want to be on the mic. I was pushed in front, okay? I was pushed in front. I was forced to have my own radio show at KPOO in 1986. I was the only female in hip hop in Northern California, west of the Mississippi. The only girl on the radio at the time for KPOO radio, 89.5 FM. They also have an internet site as well. You can go to kpoo.com and look up the history. You'll see me as Alicia Thomas. That is my maiden name. And so, yes, they pushed me onto the air, onto the radio waves. And from there, I became a broadcast radio announcer and a host, and eventually program director for KPOO. In 1986, I think I was 19, something like that, 18 or 19 years old. From there, I went to KDIA Radio, Black-owned commercial radio. It was in Oakland, and the call letters KDIA, and the frequency was 1310 AM. 1310 AM. It is now known as Radio Disney. That's how long ago I started radio, okay? I was 19 years old. I was the very first hip hop DJ on the radio and the only female on the air at KDIA when I was there. And KDIA was known for their old school hits and memories, Motown sound, and all that. Oh, you guys, I have shared a lot of information in 15 minutes, and that's because I want to get to the gossip. I want to get to the tabloid. I want to get to the propaganda news that's being spread about me by Susan Reynolds of the Voice of San Francisco. Susan Reynolds, I want to talk with you personally. I think you should come to me, talk with me, because you've already written some things about me and you really don't know. You've gotten information from my social media, my personal social media. And you're taking that information and assuming you know me. You don't know me. Talk about what you know, okay? Just like me, I talk about what I know, not about what I don't know. Talk about what you can substantiate. Talk about what you can prove with facts. And you should talk about what you can attribute, okay? Susan Reynolds of the Voice of San Francisco. And Stanley Roberts, her sidekick. Okay, so yeah, I have a visitor right now. I'm gonna go and take care of a little bit of business, but I'm gonna come back, and I want all of you to come back and listen to what the Voice of San Francisco had to say about me and listen to my response. Listen to my response. My goodness, you guys, it's gonna be good. So make sure you come back. And while you're here, tap on the subscribe button and tap on that notifications bell, because when I go live, you'll know, you'll be the first to know, and you'll get the scoop first, and you'll be able to go back and gossip about me to other folks and tell them what you heard from the horse's mouth, from the primary source. Alicia Mayo, CEO and founder of Clari-T Media, nonprofit, multimedia, grassroots, Black woman owned and operated Clari-T Media. See you guys next time.